for a simple pre-tensioning system here, what I'm using is just a split tail with a beaner, and then I'm using a large swing gate pulley, and I'm leaving one of the gates open to do this. So let's take a look at how you set this up. Here I'm using this on a porter wrap. You can do this with any type of friction device at the base of your tree. Concept number one before you get started with your friction device, you want it to be as low on the tree as possible to help you with generating tension. So that's just a general guideline whenever you're setting up anything like a porter wrap or a Stein bollard or anything. So the basic idea is, so we're ready to go up top, but before we want to cut, we want a lot of tension put into this rope. So I'm going to tension it by hand first, and then I'm going to put a wrap on there, and that's very important. And now I'm just going to put a half hitch on the top pin, and that's just going to hold everything in place. So now I'm going to take my split tail and beaner here and install this up here on the rigging line. So you can use any type of friction hitch for this. I'm just going to show this with a Prusik. So I'm just going to pass it through once, twice, and a third time. Okay, so that's a quick 6-finger Prusik, and then just a quick dress and set. And then I'm going to take my swing gate pulley, and I'm just going to pop it on the beaner. So I'm ready to go, but before I actually start cranking, I'm just going to take this whole thing and just slide it up, basically as high as I can reach. Now I'm going to come back to my bollard. I'm going to take that half hitch off the top pin, and then the tail of the rope is just going to go up, and it's going to go into that pulley. So that's my setup. What I've done here is I've created a quick 3-to-1 to pull tension into that rigging line. It's not a full 3-to-1 because you have friction from the wrap that you took on your bollard, but that's a very important piece of setting this up. You need that friction there to maintain the pull so that you can take it off of the pulley when you're done tensioning. So in order to tension this, I just wanted to get nice and low, and I'm just pulling down nice and hard, nice and steady. You don't want to jerk on it or jump on it, just do nice and steady pulls and come back up. So now what I've generated is there's a lot more tension in this line than I could have generated just by hand. So now obviously before we cut, we have to take all of this off. So to do that, I like to just grab both sides of the line here, and I come back up here, take it off of the pulley. So now if I need to add more wraps, let's say it's a big heavy piece, I can do that. Again, I'm going to do the trick here with a half hitch on the top pin. That's going to hold everything in place while I remove my pulley and split tail here. One thing I should mention is you don't want to use a mechanical rope grab to do this, and certainly nothing with teeth like a tooth descender or anything. You should just stick with hitch cord like this. It's much more rope friendly. All right, so there's my basic setup. A lot of tension there, and we're ready to go. So I'm just gonna carefully pop that off. Okay, and now I'm ready to cut. So that's the basic concept of doing a simple pre-tension with a lowering device. All right, so let's take a look at another simple scenario where you could use this basic pre-tensioning technique of a large swing gate pulley with one side left open. So let's say we're on the ground and we're running a zip line, and it's our job to pre-tension this line before the climber cuts a piece to zip down the line. So we can use these same bits of kit to do the same thing. Now in a scenario like this, I prefer to use a French Prusik. It just seems faster. So I'll just wrap it around the rope, minimum of 7 times. pop it on my beaner, and then I will throw the one side of the pulley onto the beaner. So that's ready to go. Now I'm going to set the zip line into my anchor, my bollard here. I'm using a Porter wrap. I'm just going to give that a quick tighten, and then I'm going to put a single wrap on there. And now I'm going to come back to my pulley and just make sure that my beaner isn't cross-loaded there. Okay, just put the rope onto the sheave of the pulley. So now I'm ready to go. Again, this is a simple 3-to-1. Of course, there's friction down at the bollard there. So from here, I can just start nice, steady pulls, and I can get that zip line nice and tight. So that's going to be tight enough for this scenario. So I'm gonna before I'm ready to go here, I'm going to take it off the pulley. So I'm going to grip both sides of the line. Okay. So this is my basic setup. At this point, with a zip line, I have 3 options, because generally with a zip line, I'm not going to allow the piece to slide all the way down to the anchor. I'm usually going to drop it, somewhere out in front of my anchor. So I could either just leave the pulley where it is, depending on the situation, or I could just slide it way back and get it out of my way, or I could take it off completely. It just depends on the situation. So that's a basic setup for pre-tensioning a line with a zip line setup using a swing gate pulley with one side left open. All right, cool.